Hello, guys. Hello, how are you? This is Alejandro Castillo. How are you? Good afternoon here in Mexico City and in Austin, Texas. Well, today is Friday, April 9th of 2021, and it's a very honor. It's a great honor to me to receive today as in the Volley Talks to a former AVP pro athlete and owner of a successful academy in in Austin, Texas, to Adam Johnson, best known as AJ. How are you, Adam?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here today in the episode 148.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, well, on Sunday is my first anniversary, and I will host in the episode 150 Monday, Mr. Jamie Davis, the president and CEO of USA Volleyball.
Nice. Good luck with that one.
Thanks a lot, Adam. And well, I have had here great American volleyball personalities like you, like Randy Sinjin, you remember well, Daniel Scott, Joe Campbell, Ron Stahl, Lori Kimura, Cecil Renaud, Karsh Kirai, Jonas Perot. Thanks a lot for being here in the Volley Talks, Adam.
Yeah, no worries. Pleasure to be here.
Are you located right now in Houston, right? In Houston, okay, again. Austin, sorry.
You'll get it right. It's okay. Yeah, Austin, Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, been here for 16 years now. I grew up pretty much the rest of my life in Laguna Beach, California.
Okay, well, California, the home place of beach volleyball.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well, Adam, please share with us how did you start in volleyball? How did you get involved? Had your parents played volleyball, or how was your connection with that?
Well, I mean, I started when I was about 13 years old. I played all sports. I played baseball. I played soccer. I played tennis. I played everything. I didn't play football, American football, until my senior year of high school. But one summer I wasn't really doing anything on the weekend, and my mom suggested to me, hey, all your friends are doing this indoor volleyball clinic, which was with Laguna Beach Volleyball Club at the time. And they said, hey, why don't you just go try it out? And at the time I was a USTA ranked junior tennis player in California. And I tried out the volleyball thing, and I just dropped my tennis racket for volleyball like it was a hot poker chip. So that's kind of how I got started.
Yeah, I think I told you a few minutes ago that I fell in love with volleyball in the City 4 with that great American team. And since 1984, I decided that volleyball to be my number 1 sport. I really love the game.
Yeah, in Laguna Beach, where I grew up, a very small beach town. We weren't known for our football. In America, we were known for volleyball, tennis, swimming, those kind of sports. So that's kind of also how I kind of gravitated towards it. We had a pretty solid volleyball team, and I thought, this is fun. It's a very hard, skilled sport to learn. And I'm one of those guys, like, I love golf, but I'm never going to be that good at golf. I mean, I'm going to be good, but I'm never going to be great. And you can always be better. And for me, volleyball was a tough skill sport. Passing is probably the hardest skill in volleyball. And, I just wanted to master it best I could.
Right. And which other volleyball players have grown in Laguna Beach?
Oh boy, Dusty Dvorak, 84 gold medalist. Dane Blanton, 2000 medalist.
2000, yeah, gold medalist in beach volleyball.
There's a ton of that played in college: USC, UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, University of Hawaii. So it was a big beach volleyball community, beach volleyball community, period.
Right, and you started playing in high school, junior high school?
Well, I started playing in middle school. I mean,
Middle
I
school.
was 13, so I didn't, in middle school, when I was playing, we didn't have middle school volleyball, so we just had club volleyball. So
Yeah.
Laguna Beach Volleyball Club, which I played for, which is still around to this day. I do a lot of, I of course run my academy. It's an indoor and a beach one, and we go, playing all different tournaments across the country, and Laguna Beach Volleyball Club. Maybe not the same owners and everything, but it's still going.
Great. And in which position did you start playing? Did you play all your career in the same position? How was your
No,
development in these early years?
well, I was very fortunate that our program, Laguna Beach Volleyball Club, taught everybody all different skills. It wasn't like it is today, where if you're 12 years old and you're 6 foot tall, okay, you're going to be a middle blocker, and then you're just a middle blocker. We don't want you to play defense. We don't want you to touch a ball. We just want you to block and hit. That's all we want you to do. So I was very fortunate that I started off my first few years as a middle blocker because I was a little taller than some of the other guys. But then my junior year, I made my move out to outside hitter, and then continued on at USC for 4 years there as a 4-year starter, and then on to the national team for 88 and 89 as an outside hitter.
Great. And how was your development from middle school, high school, college? I know that you attended the USC. It's great school. And how was those years? How were those years?
Well, college was fun years. I mean, no doubt about it. But I kind of had my basic, I would say, upbringing in volleyball. So my freshman year in high school, I was on the freshman team, and then in my sophomore year, I was on the JV, and then was brought up to varsity at the end of the season. And then my junior and senior year, I was on varsity, and then I got a scholarship and played at USC. That's kind of how it was. I don't think that I went from this level to this level, within a year. So it was a steady progression, which I think is a good thing.
Okay, and you always place you switch from middle to
Outside,
opposite to
yeah,
outside.
outside, yeah.
Okay, it was
I'm only 6'3". I have long arms, which helps, and I had a pretty good jump. But again, making the transition from middle to outside in our program was not a big deal, because we were taught how to pass, how to set, how to block, how to play defense in all positions. It didn't matter. So
and you attended college in a very special era for USA volleyball. Los Angeles 84, Seoul 88 with 2 gold medals. How was the environment in the college volleyball in those years with the influence of those big athletes?
well, it was very exciting, especially in the 84. I mean, that was my freshman year of college. So, I mean, that gave a big boost, I think, to men's college volleyball. I mean, it was very, and it still is compared to the women, a very small sport in college. And, we only get 4.5 scholarships, where the women get 12. And so, all we were trying to do is grow the sport. And, the Olympics helped. And then after, that boom for the 4 years that I was in school, and then again in 88 when they won the gold medal, I think that really helped, volleyball, indoor volleyball in the USA.
Adam, what do you think was the legacy of that generation of great athletes, considering volleyball at that time it's a very different volleyball and a very different environment to nowadays?
Yeah, it's interesting because and of course the beach is much different than the indoor, but I would say that the 84 and 88 team, those guys are very special, and they epitomized, if you will, what it takes to achieve something. And I was fortunate enough to kind of be on the national team in 88, and I trained with them in 86 as well, but in 88 and 89, and then after that I decided to go play over in Italy, at the time, and kind of gave up my Olympic aspirations, if you will. They banned me from ever coming back, because I just wanted to make a living. And but those guys, Karch and Steve Timmons and Craig Buck and Dusty Dvorak, all those guys, I think a lot of the indoor players really looked up to them, and still do.
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned something very interesting. At that time, it was banned for you to play in the national team and go play overseas pro, right?
Well, for me personally, because I'd only been there, I was what you would be considered a greenhorn, kind of a new guy on the team. And, at the time, I believed, I was better than some who were making 4 times as much money as I was. And so I mean, I understand, but at the same time, I had to live. I was actually paying to be on the national team. And so I got an offer to go play over in Italy, and the national team said, well, if you go over there, then you'll never be able to play for the USA Volleyball. And I said, okay, I have to make a living, at that point. So I went over to Bologna, had a great time over there. I played on Buffetti in Division One, became, I was on the first team, all league and all stuff over there, and kept our team up in Division One. Got married over there, which was pretty exciting, pretty special for us. So, and then I came back and played on the beach, and I never looked back. I mean, I'm sad I never got a chance to, play for Team USA in indoors. That came back around in '96 for the beach, and then again in 2000. But it wasn't meant to be for me. In '96. We'd probably talk about this later, but Randy hurt his ankle right before the qualification, and then Karch dislocated his shoulder in 2000. So shoulda, coulda, woulda. They just weren't. The rings weren't there for me.
Adam, and in which year did Joseph Volleyball change that policy?
Probably the year after I left. They just said, well, we lost one guy. Let's change things and have these players be able to make a living, because it's not like I was asking for the world in money. I mean, I'm just trying to get by and play volleyball at any 22, 3, 4-year-old is wanting to do. I just want to have my expenses paid. I wasn't living in the biggest house in San Diego. I didn't drive a Lamborghini. I was barely getting by, and I just had a different value for that.
What different times we are facing right now, because USA Volleyball sends almost 500, 600 transfers every year for playing overseas. So that's great news.
Yeah, no, and I think that, I mean, probably, I can't remember what year it was that Karch and Steve went over to
Il Messaggero.
Il Messaggero.
I think it was 89.
No, it wasn't 89. It was just after 91, 92, I think it was. Because I was playing with Steve on the beach, Steve Timmons. So I think it was 90. And they made lots of money, and then everybody started going over there. Doug Beal, the year that I left, and he's like, no, you can't, you'll never come back. He went over there and coached. I'm like, okay, and I understand policies, but at the same token, I'm just trying to survive. So I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah, of course. When you returned to USA, in what year was, and you shift to play beach, right?
Oh yeah. Right after I came back from Italy, that was probably in January, March, so March-ish, mid-March. I just started playing on the tour, and that's when I picked up Steve Timmons in '90, and we played probably 3/4 of the season, and then the last tournament of the season for us, which was the U.S. Championships, we took 3rd. So that was my biggest accomplishment at that time. And then the next year, I won my first event and kind of went on, and the rest is history.
Can you say that your beach career were more successful than your indoor career?
I leave that up to all the fans, if you will. I mean, I think from a media standpoint, beach volleyball for sure, because we were on NBC Live. Right when I came in, we had tournaments on NBC right after football games and stuff like that. And so people got to know me real quick, as opposed to someone like Tim Hovland you talked about, who'd been playing for 10, 12 years before me. They knew who he was after those 10 or 12 years, but in 1 year, everybody in the volleyball world knew who I was because, I happened to win, in 91 when NBC started, telecasting live. I made three of 5 live telecasts. And that was huge for me because you're getting 8 to 10 million people watching. And, when you win the US championships, that's a big deal. So, my accolades for indoors, they're pretty solid. I wish I could have continued with the national team, like I said, but they just didn't happen.
Do you think that was the point of change for for beach volleyball in the USA to get in the media?
I think that was, of course, that was the AVP, the beach volleyball. I think that was a big deal for them. And, it kind of catapulted beach volleyball into a whole nother realm. I mean, we were making good money back then. And we haven't been making that kind of money, the early 90s through 97, I think it was. To that date, 97 to now, the guys on the tour have not made close to what we were making, which is sad. There's been some behind the scenes stuff going on, and I'm sure there's drama everywhere and all that kind of stuff. So, but at that time in the early 90s, late 80s into the mid 90s, that was prime time for everything. It was rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I remember big sponsors like Jose Cuervo.
Oh yeah.
Very, very, very large tour. And I think, it's my opinion, that at that time, in the first half of the 90s, FIVB turned back and say, "Hey, beach volleyball can be a very good business. Let's take it."
Well, and I think, and I think the FIVB was smart to bring beach volleyball into the Olympics, and then they had control of how the qualification procedure happened. Up until 96, USA had the best beach volleyball players in the world. I mean, it was proven left and right up until 2000, probably the best beach volleyball players in the world. And so we were able to say we had the best beach volleyball players on our tour, right? And then as soon as the FIVB said, well, now you guys have to come on our tour if you want to qualify for the Olympics. And that then gave the FIVB the credibility as having the best players in the world. So I think things switched. And I always use this example, like currently, I think the FIVB is like the PGA Tour, the golf, and the AVP is like the international golf tour, where nobody, whenever you watch, if you're a golfer, if you watch it, no one's ever watching it. So that's kind of how it is. I think the roles have definitely reversed.
And do you think that impacted for the bad to AVP?
It definitely impacted. I mean, it's not a good thing. I mean, to my knowledge, as of today, the AVP hasn't come out with their summer schedule.
Yeah, not yet.
And their schedule, and I understand about COVID. We understand about that. Last year they only had, a handful of tournaments.
But three tournaments in
but the year before COVID, they have 8 tournaments. I mean, that's kind of hard to make a living off of 8 tournaments, even if you win.
Yeah, well, I had last year here Casey Patterson in the Volley Talks, and he told me, "Hey, today in COVID times, $600. It sounds for us like $6,000."
Yeah, I mean, it kind of does. I mean, we're I'm working with an organization called Sharp Vision. I actually have new lenses in my eyes. I got some refractive, lens exchange. So I've got new lenses, but they're getting into beach volleyball. We ran a 4-man tournament out in Hermosa last October, and we had two teams from California, one team from Hawaii, and then our Texas team out there. And it's a matter of marketing these guys and getting them opportunities out there. So there's going to be some opportunities. I think you're going to see, at least here in the States, of other organizations throwing on beach tournaments.
Yeah, because I think it's very sad that in the last few years, no any beach volleyball major was played in USA. I think the last was in Miami Beach 3 or 4 years
Yeah,
ago.
and I think that there's probably, and I don't know, I'm kind of out of the mix, but I can only imagine there's probably some bad blood between AVP or whoever and FIVB. And I mean, I can't imagine why you wouldn't have an FIVB major event in the United States, if not one or two on the east, on the east and the west coast at least. So I'm not aware of what's going on, but I think that they could easily have something like that.
Yeah, for example, probably that next week we here in Mexico in Cancun will have
Yes.
3 consecutive 4-star tournaments.
Yeah, I'm very well aware of that. It's kind of nice, and I'm sure that the USA athletes are excited about that as well. And I think everybody just wants to get out and play, so they're pretty excited.
Which do you think could be the future for beach volleyball in the United States? It's hard to think about that.
The future?
Yeah.
Who knows? I'd say it's up in the air. I like I said, it's hard for me. I mean, now that things are opening up in the United States, if I'm the AVP, I'm going to places and I'm having tournaments. But like I said, it's now April, and we don't have a schedule, so it's hard. I've heard that they have a stop or two in San Antonio, which is down the street from us, about an hour away, and it's going to be indoor. But I don't know why you can't be outdoor. At least in Texas, like the Texas Ranger baseball team last week, they opened up full capacity.
Oh, I think on Wednesday or Tuesday.
Right. So I mean, that's where we're at. We're opening up. Football is going to be 100% and everything. So everything's, I don't want to say it's getting back to normal. I don't know that we'll ever have a normal, but at least things are going. So I would hope, especially during the Olympic year, that's a good time to get out there and parade your teams that are going to be playing in the Olympics.
Yeah, right. Well, 2 weeks ago, it ended the Athletes Unlimited Volleyball League in Dallas, Texas, for women's, with no people, with no fans.
Was there one in Dallas, Texas?
In Dallas, Texas, yeah, 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a tournament of 5 weeks. No fans in the Fair Park Arena or something like that.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, we've been open for a while in Texas. Texas is one of the, it's like Florida. We kind of opened up early, so I'm not quite sure why more people weren't there.
Yeah. Well, Adam, let's go back a little to your AVP years, and
Okay.
With which players were your teammates? Which player you enjoyed the most to play with?
I don't know if I can go through all of them because we might be here for a while. But I played with. I'll kind of go back down the list. Well, I'll start from the beginning, I guess. I mean, when I first started out, I played with a guy named Troy Tanner, who played on the
Olympian.
Yeah. And we played together on the circuit. We played in, I think, 6 events in '88 and another 6 in '89, and that was just kind of for convenience purposes. We both were on the national team, and we just kind of showed up to these beach tournaments and played. And then when I decided to go play over in Italy and then come back and play, then my first real partner, like I said earlier, in '90 was Steve Timmons, and then I played with Pat Powers. Won my first tournament with Pat Powers, '84 gold medalist, and then Picked up
He,
after that. He actually dumped me, which was a good thing because I wasn't having fun. He wasn't having fun. But I was at the time kind of a nobody still, still coming up. I didn't feel confident to dump him to go play with somebody else, even though I wasn't having fun.
Pat Powers was also here in the show last year. Great
Oh,
guy.
okay. Yeah, no, he's funny. I did a webinar with his club team, his junior girls club team, and I said, "Can I tell these kids the truth about you?" And he goes, "No, you can't." just to have some fun with him. But no, Pat's a good guy. And so after I played with Pat, I picked up Ricky Ludes, another 88 gold medalist.
Richie Luides was in a movie, right, of volleyball.
Yeah.
Inside
he
Out?
played Inside Out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he played Inside Out. And then after that, I played with a couple different partners here and there. I hooked up with Jose Loyola. We had a lot of success. Yeah, we had a lot of success. I thought we were going to do some great things. And then Karch got hurt, and Kent came over and asked Jose to play, and Jose dumped me like a hot poker chip. I wasn't real happy about it, but that's life. And then I picked up Karch towards the end of that season, and then we kind of flipped things over where we beat Jose and Kent a few times towards the end of that season, and I played out the rest of my career with Karch. So
perfect. And I will not ask who you enjoyed most to play with, but which other players did you enjoy to play against them?
Well, I'm a little bit different, I guess, from that standpoint. I didn't care who I played against. Even if I didn't like somebody, I didn't want to beat them even more. I just kind of was a very steady player. I like to think that I wasn't great at anything. I was very good at a lot of things. And keeping a level head, I think, and even my wife to this day doesn't like it, because we can, get a new car or a new house or a new something, and she's like, oh, and I'm like, well, this is nice. She's like, you never get excited about anything. And that's just my personality of being focused and not wanting to go up here and then come down here and then go back up and then come back, so I just like to be even keeled. So there's always, of course, whoever was number one at the time, you always want to beat number one. That's always a goal. And then when I was number one on the tour with Karch or Jose, everybody wanted to beat us. So it was a challenge, from that standpoint. So, but I mean, I'll answer who my favorite. I mean, I enjoyed playing with Karch because he's somebody I didn't have to worry about. He's been there, done that. He's I don't have to say, hey, are you doing your push-ups and sit-ups? Are you working out? He knows. Some of the other guys that I played with, I had to do that. And so purely from that standpoint, it was awesome playing with Karch.
Right. And do you remember any match, especially for the toughness or for the environment?
Yeah, no, there's plenty of stories I could tell. I know that one of them was when Karch and I first got together. He was coming off a shoulder injury, and he was taking some time getting back into shape and whatnot. And Jose and Kent would beat us left and right. And, it wasn't until this one tournament in Fresno that we beat them, and we beat them pretty handily. And Karch, if you look back at it, I think it was 90, I want to say 97. You go to YouTube and look up Fresno, and Avp tournament 97. And Karch was very excited. I mean, I've never seen him ever that excited, and he was just pumped, going to every corner of the crowd, and I was just like, wow. I mean, I was getting goosebumps going, this guy is excited about this, so it's good to see, because everybody called Karch the computer. It's all up here, boom, 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 boom. And he's pretty even keeled also. Doesn't get real excited about a win, but he was extremely excited. And I think that from a mental standpoint, getting into Kent and Jose's head, I think that was huge, because we had our way with them the rest of the year.
Great. Can you tell us a little about the legacy of both Karski Rai personality and the gold medal in '96 Olympics for beach volleyball? What was the legacy and the impact for the entire beach volleyball in the United States?
Well, I think it was, being the first Olympics for beach volleyball, I think it was huge for the sport, period, and huge for USA Volleyball. And I think, everybody that was playing volleyball at the time and even now is going to remember who was the first gold medalist. And, I played with Ken Steffes as well, and he's a great competitor. I had fun playing with Ken as well. Didn't play with him as much, but I traveled to Bali. I traveled to um, uh, Brazil. We were, I was world champion with Ken Steffes, and then we went down to Australia as well. So, to see they're two different players, but both of them are going to be known as bringing home the gold medal for USA Volleyball in '96, and I think that set the tone, for all the athletes, something to aspire to. Like, hey, we want to keep that medal here in the USA. That happened again in 2000. I believe we lost it in 204, but got it back in 208. And then, now it's kind of, we're trying to find ourselves. And I think that, the AVP needs to do some stuff, or we need to get somebody that's going to be running a tour to give these guys the opportunity to come out and make a living at it, because they can't make a living at it right now.
Yeah, that's really changed because, as we told, in early '90s, it was a big show and a big money in AVP.
Big show, big money. If we could get back to where it was, would we be able to regain our dominance? I don't know. It's going to be hard. That would have to, we'd have to say, no, this is just my vision. This is just purely my vision. But if you had somebody that had a boatload of money and said, I want to go back to the way it was, and everybody's got to sign a contract. You can't go play overseas, and we're going to have, a party, and it's just going to be all what it used to be. And you got to sign on. There's always going to be some team or people that are going to still go play FIVB, want to go to the Olympics. That's just how the animal is. So I don't know if it's ever going to get back to where it was, at least here in the States.
And please tell us something about the relevance of tournaments like the Manhattan Beach Open for you in the USA. It's the most iconic, right? Manhattan Beach.
Yeah, that's the one. Manhattan Beach has a pier that has all these plaques on it. You can go out there and look at all the winners. So, it's been said that, if you want to be known as a beach volleyball player in the United States, you got to win Manhattan Beach. And I was very fortunate to have a pretty good run at Manhattan. '93, we had a great opportunity. I was playing with Brooke Vandeweghe, and we were up. This is the one that kills me, of course. But we were up on Karch and Kent 10-2, and they came back and beat us, 15-10.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So I hate to, needless to say that Brooke and I didn't play after that. But the next year I played with Randy Stoklos, we won. And then the next year after that, I played with Jose, and we won. And then the next year after that, Jose and I lost to Karch and Kent in the final. So I had a pretty good run. I won 2 Manhattan Opens and, had some seconds and some thirds. So, but it's definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest tournament in California or the United States.
Yeah. And have you ever played in Brazil? Randy and Sinji told me that they were big stars in Copacabana Beach.
Yeah, and getting back to playing with Ken Steffes in '93, we went down there, played in Copacabana Beach for the U.S. Championships, and I don't know if you know that they have a TV star down there called, her name is Shusha. I don't know if you
Yeah.
Okay, so blonde hair, beautiful girl.
Yeah.
But all the Brazilian fans were calling my nickname was Shusha. because I had this long blonde, bleach blonde hair. And they're like, shusha, shusha. And I had no idea. I had no idea what they were talking about. So it didn't bother me. Of course I found out. I was like, oh, okay. That's not so bad. But yeah, no, Brazil was a beautiful country, great people down there, all very well, their knowledge of volleyball was very high, which is great to play against. And they were definitely for their country, which they always are. Whenever Jose and Gino came over and played on the tour, wherever we played, for some reason there'd be a group of Brazilians that would find out, and they'd be in the stands and they'd be cheering and doing all that. So it was great, and I think that was great for beach volleyball.
Right. And can you remember, Adam, some of the greatest trash talkers in AVP?
You know, I'll tell you a quick story. I mean, Dan Verbalovich was a guy that played on the tour. He won a few opens. Might not be well known, but it was funny because he, in college, he was playing over at the University of Hawaii, and I was at USC, of course. And he then transferred to UCLA to win a national championship, right? And so we ended up playing them in the finals of the regionals of our regional, and the winner goes to the Final Four in college. And they were up 12-7, and I got set outside, and he stuffed me one-on-one straight down. I mean, it hit the floor before I did, and he's like, "Oh, Johnson, you suck, and we're gonna win 3 dick," all this kind of stuff. And I've never in my entire career seen somebody John under the net like that. And so I didn't even know how to react. So I just went back and got back into my game, and we ended up winning that game 15-13, and the next two 7-7, 15-7, 15-7. And I shook his hand under the net and just said, "Great game," and that just eats at him. So he was one. I mean, Tim Hovland, of course, he's the endless guy. I know when I first started out, and to make some extra money, we were able to referee some games, which was a big mistake. You make $50, which was not worth it. But my first referee job was Steve Obradovich, and I can't remember who he's playing with at the time, and then Hovland and Dodd. So I've got the two worst guys, reffing. I made a call, and they're both, I'm sitting down under the net, and they're both just right down on me, just yelling. And they both went to USC, but they're just still just, they're calling me all kinds of names and everything. And I was like, I made one call. I go, "I'm sticking to my call. Get back and play. I'm not listening to you. Just get back." I made my call. So those guys are, they're definitely up there. But I really didn't have too many guys, and maybe people knew that it wasn't going to do anything when they played against me to talk to me, because what I'd like to do is take that in, but not show anything, go back and play, and then it's like they're looking in a mirror, because then now they're saying, "Well, I'm trying to get into his head, and it's not working." So it's kind of like a reverse psychology kind of thing. So I didn't notice too many. Those are the ones that I remember.
Well, at the end, can you say that trash talking is part of the show? It's part of the game?
I think it's definitely part of. I think it's definitely part of the. I think it's definitely part of the show, at least in the United States. I personally never did that, because that's just not my game. There might have been some times when, if the referee makes a bad call, and we're over there talking to the referee, and the other guy's saying something, I might say something back to him like, "I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the referee." So that's not my game. I don't have enough energy to do that. I mean, I'm one of those guys, and it's Karch and I are completely different, because Karch probably remembers every single play of every single event he's ever played in. Whereas sometimes in a heated rally, depending on, the weather, if it's really hot or something, I might not remember that rally. We might have got the ball back, and I might say, "What just happened?" And that's just because I'm so focused on every skill that I got to do to get that ball down. And then we get it down and I'm like, okay, we got the ball. What just happened? Okay, let's just play, So I didn't really waste my time with that.
Great. Adam, we have some messages here in the chat. My very good friend, Victor Espericueta, he's like Mark Schurman, but here in Mexico. He's
Okay.
a very good MC. He will be in Cancun, by the way.
Cancun. That's where I went. I went to Cancun on my honeymoon. Cancun and Cozumel.
Great place, great choice. Victor Espericueta, my friend, he attended the World Championship in '87 in UCLA, playing for Mexico.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Victor Espericueta says, and that great player, Adam Johnson, very well conducted, very good discipline in the.
Everybody liked him
in the court. Very I don't know how to say, sure of himself in the play, and apart, your very good chemistry with Karch was amazing. That says Victor Espericueta.
Yeah, well, Victor, he's very observant. I think that Karch and I we're and please don't think that I'm saying this, but we're two similar players, right? I mean, he's far better than me. I mean, no, I'm not even putting myself in his category, but mentally, our approach to games, how we conduct each other on and off the court, I think we're very similar. That's why, I didn't really have to worry about Karch. I know he didn't worry about me. And that's, I think that's definitely helpful when you're going into a partnership.
And my very good friend, Annalisa Ramirez, she's from Torreon, Coahuila, and she's a very good friend also of Viviana Candelas.
Who's that?
Viviana, she's a very good friend or Viviana Candelas.
Okay.
The two-time champion with the women of Troy.
Okay.
I think it was in 2002 and 2003.
That's
and Annalisa says, congratulations for this amazing talk.
Tell her thank you very much. It's fun.
And a very good friend of mine, Isaac Gallegos from Mexico City, says, in the places you played, which had the best atmosphere from the public?
Well, Brazil for sure. I'd say they're probably one of the top ones. There's some great places in California, of course, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, Chicago was big. We played in Austria, the FIVB tournament in Klagenfurt. That's a huge tournament. I mean, that's so well run, and the fans are very knowledgeable. The tournaments we played in Australia, they were still kind of new to it, but the fans were, very into it. I'm trying to think if there's any more that really stick out, but Tenerife, we played in Tenerife. Those fans were out of control. Real fun. Italy, of course. Yeah, they're all over the world, but those are the ones that kind of stick out.
Well, in recent years, AVP has stops in New York City, in Chicago, as you said. I think New York City playing in front of the one Liberty Tower may be great.
You're talking about recently, like the last couple of years of the AVP?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's anytime you're playing in front of, Statue of Liberty or something, it's got to be pretty special. Back in my day, we played in New York, but we played in Madison Square Garden inside.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it was in February, I think it was. It was a couple of tournaments that we put on to kind of warm up for the season, and that was fun. So New York's a good place.
That's all. Well, I'm here reading your resume and says AVP pro player from 87 to 2000, ranked 15 in the world at that time.
Still, currently, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, great.
No one's passed me yet.
In earnings or in wins?
I believe in wins. I don't know about earnings. Wins for sure though. So I'm still up there, still in the teens. That's not bad.
No, not bad. You stopped playing 20 years ago, so it's great that you are still in 15th place.
Well, and I honestly think, unfortunately, I stopped pretty early. I stopped when I was 36.
36.
Yeah, Karch stopped when he was 37. And he was still winning tournaments at that time. So I had an injury to my foot, and the AVP started going this way, and they started with the small court and all that kind of stuff. It was just not a direction I was looking at, and so I decided to start a new part of my life, new chapter.
We will talk about that a few minutes later. Says Beach Volleyball Hall of Fame in 2012.
I know. How about that? Wow.
Okay. In California, in the US?
Yeah, USA.
USA.
Yeah. It's the CBVA, which is California Beach Volleyball Association. They come up with the term, Hall of Fame, if you will.
Well, I hope that one day you can make International Volleyball Hall of Fame in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it is what it is. If I don't, I don't. I mean, being 15 in the world is not bad. I guess the only thing that would hold me back is my international play, because we didn't play as much as a lot of the guys today are playing and all that kind of stuff. So, I understand if I don't make it, but it'd be fun if I did. Not gonna lie.
44 victories in the Avp Tour.
Well, that's 44. That's AVP and international.
Okay, and world champion in 92.
Yeah, actually, that's 93.
Playing with
Kent Steffes. That was down in Copacabana Beach, down in Brazil.
Right, 5-time USA champion and 2-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Should have been a couple more times.
Awesome, Corey. And in which year did you quit playing volleyball?
After the 2000 season.
All right.
So, we tried, Karch and I tried to qualify for the Olympics, and unfortunately, on his, all we had to play. We always, because we didn't play on the tour, the FIVB tour a lot. We just did the minimum. We always had to play in the qualifying tournament to get into the main draw, which we always did. It wasn't a big deal. But if we had just made it into the main draw in this last tournament, which was in Belgium, we would have gone to the Olympics, no matter what, just with points. But I'd say 3/4 of the way through that last match to get into the main draw, Karch hit a ball from the right side down the line and dislocated his shoulder. That was it. We were out. And then, Dane and Eric had to, I think they had to finish third to pass us up, which they had never done. They had never done anything better than 9th. And, they ended up playing a great tournament and finished third. So they got the bid to go to the Olympics.
It was a surprise for you guys in AVP, the gold medal for Dane Blanton, because he was a good player, but I don't know, at that time he was a candidate for gold medal in Sydney.
Well, I think there's a lot of things that a lot of people aren't aware of. When the teams went down to Australia in 2000, I went down there. I was an alternate for the team, and they found out, I think it was 2 weeks before, they were going off the FIVB rankings. And, Brazil was 1 and 2, and everybody else. They decided, let's make the host country the #1 seed. So Prosser and Zahner, who were, I think, 6, 7, or 8 in the world at the time, were now the #1 seed, which split up the 1 and 2 Brazilian teams. Right now, or didn't split them up. It put them together. So there's only going to be 1 team in the finals. And so that upper bracket you know, it was a free for all. It was really, I don't want to say, I mean, it was a free for all for somebody, meaning you didn't have to go through Brazil to go play it. And so Brazil had to play the semis, and they had one team that made it, of course, and Dane and Eric made it from the upper bracket. But it was pretty wide open. So there's some stuff going on, but hey, they deserve it because that playing on that stage, that's an impressive stage. I personally think even at that time they had better training in the States being on that type of a stage than the other teams did.
Yeah, of course, so very, very well deserved. Dane Blanton also was here in the show last year, and he's an amazing guy. And now he's a broadcaster, and he's the coach of USC team.
Yeah, USC beach volleyball. Yeah. I think they're ranked. They were ranked number one a couple weeks ago. I think they've dropped to 2, but now they're right there.
Right. I have another question here from Annalisa Ramirez from Torreon, Mexico. Says, Adam, do you consider beach volleyball is more specialized now compared with the 80s and 90s? And if it was easier at that time to switch from court to sand?
Ooh, you're asking the wrong question to the wrong person, but because coming from playing on the big court, and actually came back in 2005 and played on the small court, so I can see both sides to it. I personally think that if you look statistically, if you look at least in the United States, if you look at the guys who have won a lot of tournaments, they all started playing indoors, or they all played indoors and then made the move to beach. So I think what I like to tell parents nowadays is have your kid play indoors, learn the skills, because it's easier to walk and move on hard surface than it is on the beach. Learn to pass well and all that kind of stuff. Then take those skills to the beach. There's a lot of parents now out here, because it's now a collegiate sport for the women. They're like at age 13, hey, my daughter's just going to play beach. And I discourage that only because I still think, hey, they need the indoor game skill to bring it out to the beach. Now, if you look at, like I said, I was getting back to what I said, if you look at the guys who won a lot of tournaments, they all played a lot of indoors, compared to some players that didn't play indoors, didn't win as many tournaments. So I don't think it's changed that much. I think, of course, the court is smaller, and it lends to the bigger player to make it easier to make an impact. You can never play beach volleyball if you're tall, and then all of a sudden in 2 years you got a name for yourself. So I think that's the thing that a lot of us don't like about the smaller court, but everything changes. You have to adapt to whatever the change is.
But for example, in the United States, it is common or not common that players play in high school and in college, both indoor or and sand, or in sometimes you have to decide one of both.
Well,
which is the trend? Well,
for the women, because it's a college sport for women, they make a change. They go to if they're going to play indoors, they play indoors. If they play beach, they play beach, right? Because they can get scholarships. There's no beach volleyball for men in college, so they still have to either play in college and then go on the beach, or they do, like I said, they just start playing on the beach. But I don't know if they're going to have the same kind of success if they as if they would have stayed with indoors then coming out to the beach.
Okay, thanks. My very good friend Rafael Carrillo from Puebla, Mexico says, Alejandro, good night. Congratulations for your excellent guest.
Thank you very much.
You have fans in Mexico. Probably you didn't know that.
I'm trying to remember the tournament we played in Mexico. I think it was I want to say it was 97 or 98. I played with Karch, and fans were very, very nice. We had a good time. I'm trying to remember.
in 99, we had a World Tour stage in
Or
Acapulco.
Maybe it was 99.
In Acapulco, and in 2000 in
Acapulco, that
Rosarito.
was it. Acapulco, that was
In
it.
2000 in Rosarito.
99. We
Yeah.
might have made it in Rosarito too. I used to go to Rosarito when I was in high school.
Okay, and well, Adam, what happened? You quit playing in 2000, 2001, and you started your volleyball academy, your successful volleyball academy in Austin. What happened in those years, and why you decide to go to Texas and open this volleyball academy?
Well, and that question has been asked quite a bit. We had everybody, coming from Laguna Beach, California, probably one of the most beautiful cities in the United States. And they're like, how could you go to Austin, Texas? And, of course, when I was playing, we've been going to Austin, Texas from the I think it was mid 80s, late 80s to the mid 90s. And so we almost bought a place in 92, my wife and I, and we were going to live here, September 1 through February 1 so that we can get our residency here, have no taxes, no state taxes, and then keep our house in California. So we try, because we had been here, we know some friends, and it's a beautiful, I mean, if you're not going to live in Laguna Beach, this is, Austin, Texas is not a bad place to live. It's not Laguna Beach, and not many places are, but it's very nice. People are very nice. Our kids grew up in a great neighborhood, great schools. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. Those kind of things. So that was huge for us. And now they're out of the house, which is okay. My daughter's married. She lives in Michigan, and my son just graduated last year from college, and he's working up in Dallas. So they're not too far away. But we ended up in Austin just because we loved it, and I knew I wanted to stay involved in volleyball. I always, I gained a lot from it, and I'm just kind of giving back to the sport that gave me so much.
Great. And I think I can imagine you started your academy very small, how it developed through the years, and which is your current situation of the academy right now in Austin.
Well, Texas is a unique state. Texas don't like California people, right? Because
Yeah.
they don't try and change things in Texas. That's just how they are, and I
Yeah.
understand that. So
I totally agree with you because here in Mexico, I went a lot of times across the border walking in California, and a lot of times cross the border walking in Texas, and it's two different worlds.
Night and day. And
Yeah.
so we've had some success. We've had some ups and downs and all that kind of stuff, just like in any other business. As long as I stay true to what I'm doing, I'm being successful. There's some people there, out there on Facebook or whatever that said, well, Adam's doing his thing, and he hasn't been real successful because he hasn't had any teams, go to nationals and do well and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, who is he to say that? And what is successful to each individual is totally different. I mean, I'm not taking credit for everything, but I will say this: when I got here, there was no beach volleyball. So I started my summer program, and then all of a sudden everybody had it. Now, did I have something to do with that? Probably. Do I call my program the academy? Yes, because nobody else was. And all of a sudden we have all these academies. So I'm not saying I'm changing. I know that, the indoor programs here, they're top teams. They travel to nationals and travel all over. They're training 2 days a week and then going to tournaments. The first day that I started my program, because we did in California, we trained 3 days a week. Everybody started training 3 days a week. I don't know. Is it me? I think that the people that run those other programs here in town know who I am, and they're trying to, they're doing their best and taking it, I don't want to say taking advantage, But if you see somebody in any business doing a good job at something, you can copy it and make it better or do whatever you're going to do. So I think that's for me being successful. I mean, to see where Austin volleyball has grown since I've been here, there's a lot of success, you know. So I just want to keep growing. And, you know, like I said, I started working with a lot of they're still kids, but like the 24 to 35-year-old males and females who are playing in the open tournaments in Texas. You know, they're trying to get onto the tour. They play on the qualifying tours and stuff like that when they come into town, or they go travel to the AVP qualifiers. So I'm starting to work with those guys, and the word's getting out. So, you know, so we're having fun with it.
Okay, and did you develop a 50-50 basis indoor and beach, or is more beach?
It's both. Yeah, so I'd say 50-50.
Okay, and you say here in your resume, our junior athletes have received scholarships to the following schools for beach volleyball: USC, UCLA, Florida State, TCU, Arizona State, Washington, UAB. I don't know what's that.
Yeah,
And
University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Alabama, Birmingham, and Southern Mississippi. So,
Yeah.
especially beach volleyball athletes.
Those that you mentioned were, I think some of our indoor players have gone to, again, USC, TCU, Samford University, not Stanford, but Samford University.
Stanford, yeah.
You know, in some colleges like that. University of Pennsylvania, you know, Ivy League school. So, you know, UTSA, University of San Antonio. So they're kind of all spread out.
Right, and I think at the end of the day, the most important thing for you is to cause an impact, right, in the people, to develop their volleyball skills. But I think it's more important for you to develop the person.
Yeah, no, I think that there's, you know, all the above, if you will. You know, I'm one of those guys that takes it to the next level. I like to have, you know, a close knowledge of the kids and where they want to go to school and what they want to do with their life through volleyball. I mean, I can help them. You know, I can't help them if they want to be a biochemical engineer or something like that. I can't help them with that, but I can help them, you know, prepare themselves to play volleyball in school and do their schooling at the same time. And, you know, I think that our program, much like my high school program or my club program that I grew up with, you know, you have certain things that you have to do during your practice time or during your year of club volleyball. Like, you know, one of my claim to fames is in the 17 years I've been coaching juniors, I've only been late to 2 events, and that includes practices and tournaments. So over 17 years, I've only been late to 2 events, and one of them was my daughter played in my program, and she was on another team, and my team that I was coaching was playing in one spot, and her team was playing in another spot. I was supposed to drop her off first, but I went to my spot first, and I was like, dang, I'm at the wrong spot. So by the time I got her to her spot, she was late, right? And then of course I was late getting back to mine. So she had to do what we call coach on one, where, you know, the coach has all the balls and they're throwing them all over the place, you know, and then she got to give me a coach on one. So that was one time, and, you know, something similar to the other time. But, you know, that people, I say that to people, and people kind of go, oh, what's so big about that? That's like being on time for 18 years. You're never late. That's pretty good. And what I mean by late, I was like maybe 2 or 3 minutes late. Whereas now, at least in the club world, kids are late all the time, and then they just don't play the first set. You know,
Really?
that's just kind of our, you know, our society today. Oh, it's cool, whatever. You know, you know, I don't agree with that, right? And my daughter is really on time. She's like my wife, on the other hand. Like, if we're gonna go meet somebody for dinner at 7:00, she's gonna be fashionably late, and I'm leaving. She'll have to drive her own car. So, you know, that's just kind of how I am.
Great, great, Adam. Thanks for sharing. And Adam, which challenges or opportunities do you think club volleyball have in the United States?
I think club volleyball. It's a huge business. I mean, it's ginormous. I say unfortunately because I think a lot of people are in it for the money. And again, I am. I have to make a living, but I grew up playing volleyball. I know all about volleyball, and so there's I think there's some differences from someone like myself than some businessman that just says, "Oh, I can make a lot of money from this. This is what I'm going to do," and have a successful business. And there's nothing wrong with that, um, as long as you're helping the kids and doing the best you can. Be successful in volleyball and in life, and that's kind of um, what my club program did for me and my high school program, and eventually my college program as well. So, that those are the things that I look to do. I try and do.
Great. Adam, how many people does work with you in the academy, and how many people are going there to practice or as a players?
Yeah, I've had upwards of 100 indoor players.
100
Uh,
indoor players.
yeah, so that's about 10. That's about 10 teams. Of course, I have different coaches and whatnot. On the beach side, uh, I actually last year I've never really had a year-round beach program, which has kind of been something recent, if you will, because I'm doing my indoor stuff. But last year, due to COVID, I picked up a lot of kids that, like you mentioned on the beach, that were going to UCLA, Arizona State, Florida State, and train them. So I kind of started my year-round beach program last March, if you will. So I'm going to be continuing with that. And I get, in the summertime, I get upwards of 50 players, during the beach during the summer. And that of course, hopefully will change moving forward now that we're going to do it year round. The other thing that I did, like I said earlier, I picked up was the older, well, I say older, they're still kids to me. The 24 to 35-year-old male and females that are playing in the open tournaments, beach open tournaments here in Austin. So I'm working with them as well.
Right. Well, I know that girls volleyball is huge in the United States, and I know that high school boys volleyball is growing. Is that correct?
It is, but Texas is not the place you want to be playing volleyball. I mean, I can tell you that over the years, a lot of my junior girls whose boyfriends might be on the football team or the baseball team or the basketball team, they're like, "Oh, beach volley or volleyball, that's not a men's sport." I'm like, well, it kind of is, but that's just Texas. I think they're into their big time sports and all that kind of stuff. So there are some private schools here in Texas that have had volleyball. There's a few up in Dallas that have had men's volleyball for a while, since the early 90s. I went and did some clinics for them and stuff like that. So they're trying. We're trying to get the men's going, but it's a slow process. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I know, because in Texas, football is kind of religion, right?
It's king. It's what we would call king. I mean, my kids both went to a high school called Lake Travis High School, and their football team is ranked in the top 10 in the country every year. And so when you go, like, coming from Laguna Beach, where we were playing in the lowest division out in California, and we maybe got, I don't know, a couple hundred people in the stands, just because it was a Friday night and it's social, to going to the stadium here it's impressive. I mean, there's like 10,000 people
For a high
at a high
school
school
game.
game. Yeah,
Wow.
and so it's intimidating. I was like, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people here. So it's a different world. And the same thing with like cheerleading, right? Because the cheerleading out here in Texas is huge as well, and it's a sport in its and life in its own. So it's all good.
And that was a question I have for you. Which are the obstacles you have developing volleyball in Texas? You told me some, but I think it may be difficult to compete against football, directly against football, directly against baseball, against basketball. Which are your strategies to attract people to volleyball?
Well, the one strategy I had is I really don't work with guys, unfortunately, because there are just not enough of them to really support a team. Um, my son wanted to play, and what I probably should have done with my son is probably just made one team with all his friends and just had it for, be for a social thing and get a good workout in and all that kind of stuff. But I decided not to because I didn't want to, I was already having issues with my daughter having to coach her. I'd have these conversations. I say, listen, I know this is going to be tough because I didn't want to listen to my parents, right? Even though they didn't know anything about sports. Um, I know you don't want to listen to me as a coach, and so it's difficult. Um, but looking back, I wish I would have. But the men's around here, it's just not. I don't have to. I'm not really competing because I'm not working with the guys. The older guys, like I said, that are 24 to 35. They're out of school. They're playing volleyball and all that kind of stuff. They're picking it up for the first time. So I didn't have to worry about that. So the girls, it's a huge sport for girls, and so that's not that big of an issue.
Right. And Adam, what do you want for the future, of your volleyball academy in Austin?
Well, we rent gym space, which is, there's not a lot of gyms. So you think of it, there's not a lot of gym space because there's a lot of people playing. So, my goal would be to, find some investor that would like to build a facility, and I can run my program out of it. There's one that's coming up online. I don't want to say too many details, but hopefully, at least from a beach standpoint, I'll have a home come September, and that'll be a really nice place with really nice facilities and stuff like that. Be able to run my program out of, and then my indoor, I'll still be able to. There's some gyms around here that are privately owned that rent to a lot of people. So, I think eventually what I'm seeing is the beach side of things will probably take over more my it'll probably be more like 60 to 70%, and then the indoor girls will be 40 to 30% in the probably in the next couple of years.
Right. I wish you the best for the project, Adam.
Well, I appreciate that.
I can see a USC jersey behind you.
Yes, that was my jersey in college. They retired my jersey back in I think it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken. So I got the nice little ceremony. It's all in a nice little frame and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, can we see it
Yeah,
more
sure.
closely?
Sure.
It's a Mizuno or ASICS?
Well, it's an older. It should have been Mizuno, which is what we wore, but it's a Nike one. So
wow, oh, amazing!
So you got a little picture.
Wow.
Black and white. You can see the black and white picture. That's
right.
How old it is, or how old I was.
Wow, it's amazing. Thanks for sharing, Adam.
Well, this is while we're looking at it. This is what Hermosa looked like. Hermosa Beach looked like in 1990.
Back in the old days.
Yeah, and that was before they had all the stands and all that kind of stuff. So that was pretty big.
How many people? Maybe 10,000?
A lot. Quite a few. Quite a few.
Do you think could be very difficult in the next few years? We can watch another image like that.
I hope so. I really
hope
do.
So too.
I hope so too. But I don't know. I mean, if you, it's really hard to say, and we'll see something after the Olympics for sure. You know, if USA wins gold, whether it's the guys or the girls, I think that's going to be a huge boost, and we got to be able to do something with it. So let's have to wait and see.
Which team in the women's side do you think have more chances? I think it's April and Alex.
Yeah, I think they're the #1 team that's going to be representing US. I mean, I'm for whoever's going to win. I like Kelly Clays. She's she's right now. I think they're the #2. Kelly Clays and
Sarah Sponsil.
Sponsel, is it?
Sarah Sponsil.
Yeah. Of course, I have a relationship with the one of them because she went to USC. So Clays. So I'd like to, and she's a good kid. She might be still a little bit young to win the gold medal, but sometimes you never know. If you're prepared, it just depends on the day.
Well, in Qatar 1 month ago, Alex and April beat Melissa and Sarah from Canada, the world champions, in the gold medal match.
Yeah, no, I think they've got a pretty solid chance to bring home the gold. So I'm definitely pulling for them.
Yeah, and in the men's side,
I mean, I don't know that we know who I guess we do know is that the two teams are Taylor Crabb and Gibb, and then Dalhouser and Lucena.
Lucena, yeah.
Yeah. So, I haven't seen the rest of the world. I think it's the Netherlands. Don't they have a really good team?
No, in Qatar, the Czech Republic won the gold.
Yeah, there's some team that were.
Norway.
Austria.
Norway.
Yeah,
they are #1 right now in the ranking.
Yeah, I hear they're pretty good.
Mol and Sodom from Norway.
Yeah, I hear they're pretty good. So
okay,
we'll see. But and of course I'm pulling for the U.S.
Of course,
you got to pull for the U.S.
Okay, well, Adam, thanks. It has been a great talk with you. I want to thank you again for this time. I have just 2 more questions for you.
Sure, no problem.
Which real Mexican food do you like the most? Real.
Well, I mean, this is not food, but I do make a very good salsa, right? So I love salsa, but I would have to say I love carne asada.
Oof.
I love the carne asada, although I am a vegetarian now.
Oh, really?
I've been a vegetarian for a little over a year. I say special vegetarian because I don't want to say cheated, but like when my daughter got married and Thanksgiving and Easter, I might have had a little meat. Okay, just a little bit, but aside from that, I've been vegetarian, so which has been very, very good for me. So, yeah, the carne asada is that's pretty good.
And what can you tell me about guacamole? It's great.
Guacamole, yeah, I actually make a pretty good guacamole as well. So I'm not, I'll toot my horn a little bit.
Okay, and I don't know if you want to say some final words for the people who are watching, and thank you again for the time, Adam.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope this was a successful 149. Did you say
148 episode?
148. Hope that was successful for you, and feel free to check back anytime you want.
Thanks a lot, Adam, and I hope to visit you pretty soon in Austin to know your.
Not Houston, Austin.
Houston. Why am I still saying Houston?
No, you didn't that time.
I don't know. No, Austin. It's a pretty nice place, Austin.
It's a nice place.
I haven't been there once, and
okay. Okay. Did you have some barbecue?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, you gotta have some barbecue.
The Texas women volleyball team is ranked number 4.
Yes.
And Mexican Melanie Parra is playing there.
Okay.
From Culiacan, Sinaloa, Mexico.
Nice.
She played in the Senior World Championship in 2018 in Japan, and I think they're doing very well with this guy Eggleston.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the other player, right? The American Eggleston.
Could be. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, She's playing right there in Texas, number 4.
Nice. Nice.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here, Adam, and it was a pleasure. Okay.
It was my pleasure as well. Thank you very much.
See you around here, Adam. See
Have
ya.
a good night.
You too. Bye.